Hey, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Charlie Fitzgibbon. Charlie, it's great to connect with you. You're the managing director of Edinburgh Construction. You are also the founder and building and started your business at 25. And I'm looking forward to hearing about your journey. You've been in the construction industry. You're calling in from Scotland, so I appreciate it. Love having a global podcast where I can talk to people all over the world. Want to hear about your journey, about leaving school at 15 and what that was all about, and how that has catapulted you into your business today. As a business coach working with people all over the globe, I work with successful people who are stuck. I get them unstuck. And I like to always kick off the show asking my clients, Charlie, where is a recent stuck point of yours? And how did you get unstuck?
I think every day presents new sticking points. You're only as good as your weakest component, aren't you?
Right.
I was having a chat about this with somebody this morning. One problem we don't have is potential work and leads and clients, but we can only do as much as we can do operationally. I think we've gone through a period of high growth, and our biggest sticking point to keep up with our growth has been cash flow. So making sure that we're well resourced enough to deliver what we say we're going to deliver. And I think that's something that I certainly did, and I think a lot of others underestimate when you're going through that high growth period in your business, just to make sure you've got the cash flow, the correct financial management to sustain that growth.
Yeah, I was interviewing somebody yesterday. We were talking about real estate, and they were saying that their dad, was saying that, a lot of people talk about location, but it's really about profits. And Think Community, we need cash flow because it's what keeps our doors open the next day. So thanks, Charlie, for sharing that. Let's talk about your journey for a minute. So you left school at 15, got into construction business. Tell me that story.
How long have you got? No, I'm kidding. I'll give you the highlight.
We have about 16 more minutes. So yeah.
I'll give you the highlights. So yeah, left school, very early on, realized it wasn't for me, and I had a very polite nudge out of the door at a young age, and fell into construction as a lot of people.
I have a quick question. So at 15, you're in what, ninth grade?
So yeah, the equivalent here is we call it fourth year. So it's the year you do your first major set of exams.
Uh-huh.
And I left school a couple of months before the exams were due. I came back to sit the exams, and then I left again. And the careers advisor wasn't particularly inspiring. They suggested I should apply for a job at the local supermarket, and they would give me an application form for it. However, the printer wasn't working that day, so I didn't even get the application form. And fell into construction in different capacities.
Oh, hold on, I have a question. So what did your parents say when you said, like, I'm just not going to go back to school?
They weren't keen at first, but I guess they realized that they weren't going to change my mind. My dad, he left school very young as well, so he got it. And it was just that mindset thing, right? And I think they were scared that I was going to muck it all up and lose opportunity. But my heart was set on it. It wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me.
But what does that mean? It wasn't for you? Because here's why I'm fascinated by it. Because at 15, how did you know it wasn't for you? And what weren't you getting that you wish you were getting from school that maybe would have changed your mind? Because I think schools now need to begin thinking about, restructuring what they're teaching in schools. I just launched a second business called Launch 3, Charlie, and it's a coaching platform. I have a business partner for 18 to 26-year-olds, right? So I'd love to have you on it as a guest speaker. We have live Wednesday speakers, and it's everything from life, personal brand, and career. And we're teaching things that you can check it out, launch-3.com. And so I'm just fascinated. Like, what do you wish school would have had for you to stay?
For me, it comes down to one word, which is inspiration. There's no inspiration to actually engage. You're learning from a textbook. some teachers were fantastic, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the teachers that I had, they weren't enthused to be there. So how would they expect you to be enthused to be there? I was quite a bubbly little chap, I think, and wasn't afraid to ask questions and say what was on my mind. And I think that wasn't looked upon as a positive quality, from a school kid. It's very much about discipline.
Yeah.
Conforming you to think in a certain way, to be a good employee, basically, to be another sort of component in the big machine of the big bad world. And I guess didn't fit that mold, and I don't think lots of entrepreneurs do. I was a free thinking person. I had my own ideas, and you'd ask teachers certain things, and you'd be told to shut up rather than be encouraged to think about things in a different way. So yeah, it comes down to one word, which is lack of inspiration to engage in any of the learning materials, which is a shame, because in hindsight, I would have loved to have engaged more, because learning is such an important part of life and there was so much to gain. But at that time, I just wasn't seeing it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, thanks for sharing that. Okay. So you're 15 years old, you get in construction, you loved it and just felt like it was in alignment with you.
Yeah, I fell in love right from the beginning, just working with my hands, working with things that are tangible. I had different jobs. I worked on the tools. I got into site management. I later got into project management, working all over the world. Actually, I ended up working for an international construction consultancy, and I was being moved all over the place, which was a lot of fun for someone in their 20s. And yeah, I just loved the fact that what we're doing was real. You could see it, you could touch it. People lived in these spaces, they created memories in these spaces. I just thought, what could be cooler?
Yeah. What was it about it that you just fell in love with it? I think so many people are looking for that fall in love alignment. When I was 18, my dad gave me a set of tape sets by Brian Tracy, The Psychology of Success. I fell in love with the tapes, with what they were teaching. I knew I wanted to be a business coach at that moment. The minute I put on my Walkman, I was in full alignment that I would be growing companies and speaking and training. And I knew it at that moment. And it felt like just like everything was in alignment. Yeah. So what did it feel like for you?
There's a few points. Yeah, I resonate with what you've described there as well. There's no end to my sector, and there's so many different disciplines, from a science and technical perspective and an engineering perspective, all the way to dealing with people and developing soft skills, dealing with stress, critical situations. Growing the business has been a whole other set of challenges, in terms of business management and building a team and leadership. So I think it's just the plethora of multifaceted components that goes into a construction project that, maybe from the outside looking in isn't obvious, but when you work in the field, you realize that you could devote your life to this sector and still only scratch the surface. I just find that's cool, that every day you can wake up and guaranteed you're going to do something different or learn something different than you did the day before.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so let's talk about your business. So now you're in construction and now you start your own business. You're 25 years old. Who are your mentors?
I was fortunate that I worked under a lot of very great people. I had some really fantastic bosses who gave me autonomy, demonstrated leadership, how the difference between motivating and disciplining a team into getting the job done. So I was very fortunate to have a number of really good bosses that really inspired me and lifted me and supported me in those early stages of my career. But like a lot of young people, I had a flare of arrogance in me and thought, well, if this was my ship, I would steer it differently, and thought, I could do this better. And put my money where my mouth was at the young age. I figured to myself, if I'm going to do it when you're young, because you've got energy, you're not tied down. You've got the opportunity that you won't have later on in life. So so I just sort of threw myself into it, and we've had our challenges. Don't get me wrong, but what business doesn't? But we've got a lot to be proud of as well.
I'm sure you do. Sounds like you're doing a phenomenal job. What's a big lesson that you learned that you can share for those behind you?
I mean, there's so many things, but you know, getting the right people around you, I'd say, has been fundamental, a fundamental learning curve for me. So hiring the correct people, making sure that you're hiring the right personalities as well, people that believe in the vision, believe in what you're trying to achieve, and that resonates with them and their own growth. If you hire by CV alone, sure, they might do the job well on paper, but it might not fit into the values that you're trying to put forward in your business. And that's another thing as well, is be clear on who you are and what your values are. I think in our business, we're quite clear on our place, the value that we add to our sector, and without that sort of North Star to orientate ourselves, it's very difficult to to have the right decision making criteria in place. So yeah, hiring the right people and being clear on who you are.
Yeah. Where did this intrinsic courage come from? I mean, a lot of 15-year-olds who say, I'm not coming back to school, their parents would say, that's not your decision. That's not your opinion. Where did this internal confidence and courage and decisiveness, do you think, come from?
I mean, I think you could argue that a lot of it was naivety and arrogance rather than,
That's fair. Right.
than anything else. It certainly wasn't a deliberate master plan at that stage. Learned a couple of things since then that's made me a bit more deliberate in my approach today. However, yeah, at that time I just, I was always ambitious. I was never really good at being told that you can't do stuff, or you're not good enough for this. In fact, it had the reverse effect on me. If someone said you can't do something, it encouraged me to want to do it more, to prove to
find a way, right? To find a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, to find a way. That's amazing. That's amazing. What as you look now at your business, people are looking, a year ahead right now and looking at their business. How are you planning? How do you plan and forecast and project your business?
With difficulty, but it's essential. I mean, look, nobody's got a crystal ball, and anybody that pretends they are is, not somebody to be trusted in my view. But you've got to sort of have an idea of where you're going. So we put together business plans. They rarely stick, but you need to have a guideline to, again, have criteria to set decisions against. So every year, I update our company's business plan. It's a 10-year look ahead. Every year, things change because you're constantly learning from what you've gone through and the experiences you've had and the feedback that you've received. Also, as I'm sure most people agree, the past few years has been turbulent, and you need to ensure that you build in some agility into your planning. So if you make something too tight, likely chances are it'll snap. So having some agility and some flexibility, but a plan nonetheless, because without a direction, you're going to go around in circles. So yeah, we've got a business plan that's reviewed. Well, it's reviewed once a year, but throughout the year we're constantly looking at it, referring back to it, and we're making decisions on the information that we've got in there, as well as, does some of this need to be updated based on what we've seen?
I love it. So a quick speed round: a book, a TED Talk, or an article that's had a big impact on you, Charlie.
Oh, there's so many. So I mean, I don't know if I can plug it right now, but I'm actually just rereading Taxtopia at the moment. So about financial planning. I think that's a good one. It's sort of a bit of a eye-opening look at financial management and how the financial world works. I've always seen myself as a bit of a rebel's a bit of a cliche word, but just not doing things in the way that society sort of says they should be done, or doing things your own way and being authentic to your own plan. So I'm always interested in looking behind the veil as to how things operate. And then, you know, classics. You know, I'm a big self-development geek as well as professional development. So, you know, the classics, you know, how to win friends and influence people, 7 habits of highly successful people, you know, all the usual good stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Old boss of mine said, build a business as if you're going to sell it, even if you're not going to sell it, you know, and that's always stuck with me, that building any business as if you're going to put it on the marketplace is a good way to build a company, because you're going to make sure that all your affairs are in line, ducks are in a row, you know, right from recruitment to legal to financial management and growth models, it's all there. So even if you plan on keeping your business, build it as if you're going to sell it.
I love it. Last question. One thing everyone should do to inspire themselves and others is?
Inspire yourself and others. I mean, we talked about there, read lots, and I think network and talk to people who are doing what you want to do, but maybe on a bigger scale. So surround yourself with good people. Again, it's a cliche, but cliches are there for a reason. So I'm a sucker for reaching out to people in our sector who are doing what we want to do, but on different scales, and say, hey, you know, how are you getting on? This is us. This is what we do. You want to catch up, and yeah, you get turned down a lot of the times, but if you've got thick enough skin, every now and then you'll meet somebody that can give you a golden nugget or more, propels you in your business journey. So I guess being vulnerable and open enough to reach out, say who you are to the world, and try and, you know, stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Charlie, this was great. I appreciate your story. I appreciate you sharing your story. I think community, you know, I always like to extract one good thing, and there was a lot of great things that Charlie shared. But I really think it's important to, you know, find your alignment, like Charlie talked about, know how to inspire yourself and inspire others, and build your company as if you're selling it. You had a lot of great nuggets. Tell everybody where they can connect with you, learn more about you, your ideal clients, and all that other great stuff, Charlie.
Yeah, edinburghconstruction.com is our website. All the relevant contact information's there. Yeah, happy to reach out and network and hear other people's stories, and as well, if there's any way that we can help, more than happy to be in contact.
It's great. Stay on the line, Charlie, for a minute. Think community. Reach out to Charlie if he can help you. This was filled and packed with master's class level, you know, fundamentals. You can reach me at jondwoskin.com. Thanks, everybody.